Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the January 2021 Town Hall, the first Town Hall of the year. Thank you for joining us. My name is Chris Neto. I am the host of this Town Hall. It could change. You never know. But I am happy to announce that today we have one of our newest vendor partners here. This is STEM Audio, and joining us is Ryan Budvitis. Wow,
Budvitis, Chris, all good.
I knew I was going to mess that up, man, and I practiced that. I practiced that solidly for a good 2 seconds before.
Hey, you know, man, it's been happening since I was little, so all good.
All right, well, we can refer to you as Ryan or as Bud. Same for you in Town Hallville. If you guys want to address him, please. It's either Ryan or Bud, whatever you guys want. So, Ryan, today we have you guys here. It is wonderful to have you guys here for the first time, announcing that we now carry the STEM Audio products. Give me a little bit of a background. Tell us a little bit about STEM before we jump into some specifics that I'm itching to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. So STEM Audio, the conference room ecosystem really being the operative word. A little bit of history is, we do have a sister company, Phoenix Audio Technologies. It's been around since 2004. So we are by no means new to the USB audio space, but STEM Audio is the future for us. And if we go to the next slide, I will kind of just give you a little bit of a rundown on what our mission is, which is really, as you see, to bring consumer standards to the B2B world. We know that everything is changing and things are becoming easier and easier to use. As you see there, I believe that's an Apple Home, which is just simple, elegant interface, very easy to navigate. Kind of a question for everyone out there, which is rhetorical, is when was the last time you bought a consumer product and needed to actually read the owner's manual? Usually, you plug something in, something pops up, says, do these things, you follow the steps, and next thing you know, you're using whatever the product is. And so through all of our R&D, we wanted to come out with this complete solution that was reliable, controllable, flexible, scalable, simple, and intuitive. And intuitive really being the key word for intuitive for everyone, not just your level 3 programmer, and because we are all used to in this space kind of the back end of a DSP, which is kind of what it is that we're trying to bring the consumer standards versus the more complicated solution.
Just to break that down, okay, so you're taking a DSP, which is a very commercial audio, pro audio term,
yes,
and breaking it down into the consumer version, which is not.
Yes.
I see the simplification. I know where you guys are going with this, and you could tell by the simplicity of it that in the screen that you're showing. Consumerization of Pro AV has been happening for a while, and what you guys are doing is right on trend with where a lot of companies are going with their products, especially, obviously, this is a product that works within the Zoom ecosystem. So the Zoom ecosystem is not going to bring you in if you're complex. It wants the simple, easy to use consumer mindset kind of simplicity based on that. So it's a nice marriage. Sorry to interrupt, but when you went to the customer standard conversation, it triggered a light bulb. I don't have very many light bulb moments. When I do,
yes, no, 100%, Chris. And to mention Zoom, we've been working with Zoom on this product line since the very beginning, 3 years ago when we started doing the R&D for this. And so yeah, and then I think, the next little piece of the slide just shows what it is we are, what we're used to seeing. If we can go to that, this is just the back end of a DSP, and if you are a programmer, this is completely this makes sense. It's intuitive for you, but for the rest of us, this is a foreign language. And I think the next thing that we want to see here, we'll show our products and our building blocks. And if I could say one thing, me and Chris were talking about this when we were, kind of chatting last week about this, is if I could give you one sentence to say, hey, this is STEM audio, I'd say think Sonos speakers for the conference room. And while Sonos is different, it's Bluetooth, it is the idea of this modular approach. You have these building blocks that you can outfit your conference room of any size in any way that you desire. And you can utilize whatever the customer needs in terms of budget, in terms of the rooms themselves, the acoustics, as well as the ability to kind of take into account, like, oh, you don't want anything on the table. Okay, table unit off of the table, and be able to kind of use any configuration, which I think kind of leads me into my next piece, is really wanting to show you, this is our large conference room here. And so I kind of wanted to also just give you the ability to hear this room. We actually have, this is an 18 by 30. This is all 3 units are working in unison together. It's a little bit overkill for this space, but we do have a wall unit up front, underneath a big interactive display and an AVer camera. We have our table unit in the first third of the room, and we have our ceiling unit in the back third of the room. And the way that this all works is and we also do have our controller and our hub device, which is behind the display. And I'll just do a quick explanation on kind of how this is all working out here. Is these are all networkable devices that ultimately become a USB peripheral. And what I mean by that is we have one active port that's going back to our server room. Off that active port, we have an 8-port PoE plus switch that's behind the display. Connected to the switch is the ceiling, the control, the table, the wall, the hub, all with one standard Ethernet cable. That is how the units are getting power and how they communicate with one another. It's a proprietary communication protocol. We have a platform aspect, a software aspect, where you go into our platform, create a virtual room, bring all the devices that are whatever in your specific room. In this case, it's all the devices that you see. You bring those into the room, and basically the hub now does what it does, which is it's the unifier, it's the brains of the operation. The ceiling, table, wall all have a DSP chip in them. So on a unit level, doing echo canceling, noise cancellation, automatic gain control, beam forming, all of the stuff that DSP chips do. But there's an aspect of when I'm closer to one unit, there's a different blending that's happening when I'm closer to a different part in the room, which is a different blending. And so the hub is taking these and blending it all, and it's turning it into just one channel via USB. And so ultimately, this room could be 2 ceilings, 2 tables, could be 2 walls, could be a wall and a ceiling. If this was twice as long, it could be 3 ceilings, 2 walls. It could be any configuration. And in the end of the day, it's going to become a USB peripheral. And when you just plug it into Zoom, all I'm doing is plugging into the computer, opening Zoom, pressing STEM hub as microphone and speaker, and voila, you have your system.
Sounds good. Now, one thing I did notice is as you're moving around, your audio did maintain, once you stood up, you went around and it kept a pretty even keel all the way around the table. That was pretty nice. But there is a distinct difference, and that was pointed out as well. One of the first questions that actually popped up on here was from Ben Dinnerville, where he asked if there's a distinct audio quality difference between when Chris was sitting down and standing up. Chris, I'm assuming he meant you, Ryan. I've not gotten up. Is that a difference between the table mic and the ceiling mic?
I would say, yeah, the different blending of the microphones will always be, obviously to the audiophile in the town hallville, we'll be able to hear the differences of the blending. But absolutely, if I'm if I'm closer to a table unit, obviously those microphones are going to be the main thing picking me up. But when I stand up, the blending really starts to happen. And if I were to get very, very close to a wall unit, the same exact thing would happen, where obviously we all know in this room, the closer you bring the human voice to microphones, the better things will sound.
Yeah, awesome. So before we get any further, I'm itching to ask the question, and there's a 900-pound gorilla sitting in the room, and you probably know where I'm going to go with this. Recently, you guys have been acquired, merged, kind of, brought together, whatever the what the fancy terms are for what has happened to your company.
Yes.
You have now joined up with Shure. Can you
Yes.
give us a little bit of detail? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people sitting here right now wondering what's up, what's going on.
Absolutely. It's a big question, and it is, yes, it's very new as of basically the end of November. So, we are still in the first 90 days of even when I received the news. But it has been a great, great thing. And obviously, it's just kind of like, what is the plan? The plan is going to be in play. It's going to take time for everything to really, merge together, if you will. But I will say that Shure and STEM are going to be separate companies. And while it may seem kind of like Shure in the microflex technology and STEM Audio's ecosystem, they may seem to be competing, but they're actually very, very complementary. And by joining forces, we can really serve any type of customer from any technical background for any type of environment. And that's really whether it requires a fully integrated system or a solution you can do yourself. There's that customability that both of us offer. And, we will be able to leverage each other to provide the most value for dealers as well as end users from a single trusted vendor. And the other aspect of it is we're working diligently on figuring out the best way to do that. And so that is where the higher ups of both companies are figuring out the best way that we're going to do that moving forward.
Cool. I hope that answers a bunch of questions over to the people that were about to ask what's going on. So
Yes.
We do have some questions coming in, and let's get to them. One that just popped up right now, which is in relation to the Shure question: will STEM SKUs be available through my Shure account?
So that's part of the last sentence that I said, is the figuring out how that all works out and plays out, because right now we are separate companies. Some channels overlap, but some don't. So nothing is going to change as of today, but more information to come on that in the future.
Sounds good. Jerry Richardson then asks, distance to mic and mic boundary will have a significant effect on the quality and frequency range. Is that true? I guess is the question, or is that a statement? But
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I'll put it this way, there's some of these questions may be a little bit out of my technical range, and if we want to have a conversation outside of this, Chris can share me with your information, and I can put you in contact. If you want to go geek out with one of our engineers, we can make that happen. But I think it's the idea of course, you put one wall unit in, one wall unit in a 40-foot room, physics are involved. The AGC can only do so much, even though it's a very powerful AGC. And the blending of the AGCs and all of that type of stuff creates a really, really good solution for almost any space, regardless of the size. But of course, there will be, I think that's just a question of things will sound different in different spaces depending on how far you are away and all that stuff.
Just clarification, I do have that it was more of a statement relating to the question regarding quality differences.
Okay, yes.
So we just want to clarify that. I should have started off by asking, what kind of room are you in right now? Can you give me a dimensions and some idea so that the people that are sitting here going, oh, he's in a 10 by 10 or an 8 by 10, but you're
absolutely.
not.
So it's an 18 by 30. With a large conference room table, seating 16, which it hasn't sat 16 in quite some time. Mm-hmm. It's a good room. It's not perfect, but it is a good room. There is glass on both sides, which I can kind of just go, one side, obviously we have this big glass window. Outside is, it's like our parking lot. And then on this side, hold up here, we have some glass as well over here. So it's not the most perfect room, but we have spent some time on, we have like the nice acoustic panel in the back that's, branded. So it is a good room. And it is a fairly large room. And so again, this is kind of like, this room could absolutely be a fully integrated third-party DSP, mics, speakers, programmers, all of that, but it can also be a STEM room for substantially less cost.
Sounds good. Alex has a question. Alex Shuckin. Was STEM tested with the D10 D7 devices?
We have not done any testing with that as of right now. I'm definitely sure there's stuff that can work, but that is definitely on the horizon. To obviously we'll have more resources to do all sorts of really cool testing to kind of put STEM through its paces even more so than we have.
Okay, thank you. The next question is okay. Jerry has a statement, not a question. The only room worse would be glass on all sides. Yes. That is 100% true. And yes. I've worked and had to deal with fishbowl rooms, and it was not fun. So the next question is from Ben Dennerville. Again, is Ryan able to mute individual mics so we can sample each individually? In other words, can you mute the ceiling mic so he can hear what your table mic is going to be right now, or vice versa, so they can hear what the audio would be if you just put a single mic on as opposed to a combination of blends?
Absolutely. But what I would say is, and his name was Ben, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, let's set up a meeting at another time. And the reason for that is, it's always funny. I can do that, but there is what I call a bug, where if I were to take out the table unit and the wall unit and just be on the ceiling, the hub in about 20 seconds will be like, what did you just do in the middle of this meeting? And the unit can cut out for 6 seconds and come back. And I approached engineering saying, hey, I got this bug that needs to get fixed. And then they basically told me that I was the bug, and that out there in the real world where people are just utilizing these rooms for meetings, it is very low on the totem pole. So rather than having that happen in the middle of a town hall, Ben, let's set up a meeting after this, and I will absolutely walk through each individual device with you.
Okay, so we have an attendee who said, Ryan's voice comes through at the same level from anywhere in the room for me. How do you program STEM to perform that in a room?
It is automatic. So if this was, again, 3 wall units in here, or 2 ceilings, or 3 tables, it would operate basically exactly the same in terms of what you are hearing. Obviously, microphones, if you had tables, technically it would probably sound even that much better, just because I'm closer, obviously, sitting at the table. But it is automatic. And that is something that I do want to bring up, is we do have our room adapt feature, which is basically, it's a button that you press within the platform. The units send out a chirping signal. It measures the RT60 number of the room, and the units adapt to the space. It is not a magic bullet. You can't put a table unit in a bathroom and it sound like a perfect conference call, but it definitely does help with poorer acoustic spaces. And in the future too, we are always at the forefront of like all crazy DSP stuff, machine learning. The units are going to learn the environment they're in every single time they're in use, and all that stuff's happening now and into the future. So it'll get better and better.
Thank you, sir. All right, next question. This comes in from Jason. Does STEM offer acoustical compensation settings for rooms that may not have good acoustics?
And yeah, so that is
for those that are not.
Yes. There's not like a back end portion of this STEM where you can really get involved with the nitty gritty aspects of it. But there are definitely things that we have done and have experience with, where if you say add an additional unit to that space, turn down the microphone sensitivity, where you're not picking up so much more of the room noise, you're allowing the units to blend together and not have to listen as hard if you only have, say, 1 unit versus, say, 2 or 3 in that space. And it has a miracle worker in even fishbowl type rooms. So there's absolutely ways to make it happen with STEM audio, just due to the way that we do things. But it won't be, that traditional sense of cutting specific frequencies. And, that is where, again, sure, a fully integrated system will step in.
Okay. So I'm jumping over to the chat. We have a couple things in the chat that I need to bring up. First, Brad DePass says hi.
Hey, what's up, Brad?
So he's watching and sending chat messages in. So I got two questions from David Olson, and for somehow they're ended up in the chat, not in the Q&A. But can you tell me? And I know probably require producer Mark to go back to the product images, but could you tell me what size square foot each device covers? So the table mic versus the ceiling mic versus the wall speaker.
David, and good to see that you're on this, David. Hello. It's a little bit of a loaded question. When I say that, I mean it really is. It's dependent on so many factors. Where good acoustics, like this room right now, any one of these devices will be able to pick up the space. The units are going to be obviously working harder if they're by themselves versus in a combination. But that's just like the wall unit by itself in this room with the microphone sensitivity turned up will sound great in every inch of this space. And if this is a 40-foot room, 40 feet away, the AGC will still elevate it, but the quality will obviously continue to degrade due to physics. But there's the aspect of you put this in a wide open space with a lot of hard surfaces, it's not going to perform the same as in this room with 9-foot drop ceilings and carpet on the floor. And yes, while there's glass, it's still it's not a bad room. It's a good room. So it's tough to say. If you utilize, we do have a room design tool, which is on our website, and sooner than later will be available on Starin's as well. You will see the coverages that it has, and we're very conservative on that because we would rather have the room always sound good rather than someone saying, hey, we can put this in a 30-foot room, let's put it in a 50-foot room, and not utilize the product how it's supposed to. So it's a long-winded answer, but it's kind of a loaded question, so I hope that covers it for you.
The other part to that question is the ceiling mic also a speaker, and do you need at least one device with that speaker?
So it is just microphones. It's 100 microphones, which is actually, I got a little bit too involved with walking around the room. To even say, the ceiling unit does have 100 microphones. The table unit has 9 microphones and a downward facing speaker. The wall unit has 15 microphones, speakers, and subwoofers. And so like in the scenario right now, you guys are coming through the wall unit speakers and the table unit speaker. That is how I'm hearing you. But if this is a scenario of just ceiling units, there would be there would be ceiling speakers connected to an amplifier. There is a 5-pin terminal block on our hub, which is basically a line level speaker output that would connect to that amplifier, thus bringing in those speakers into the STEM ecosystem for the reference audio. And that's what you would be coming through if I was just on ceilings. And so, and then just a little bit of an Easter egg for what's to come is STEM speaker is right around the corner. It will be a PoE speaker that'll be able to be utilized in any STEM ecosystem. So that's something that'll be really cool as well.
You just give us an exclusive announcement.
I just gave you an exclusive announcement, Chris.
Wow, dude. Okay, excellent. Excellent. I wasn't prepared for that. We should have had a little bit more fanfare. Maybe popped some of those popper things when you said that. That's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that. Now we have a bunch more questions that come up as soon as you triggered a couple things in here. So we're gonna get right down to more questions. Ben is about 1, 2, 3 questions from Ben Dennerville, and I'm gonna read them in the order that they're kind of make sense. So if you're ready, here they go. Okay. Is the controller only for the STEM audio device control, or does it double as a Zoom room controller?
It doubles as a Zoom room controller. That is a perfect question. And in the future, the goal is to have the ability to have Teams, have Blue Jeans, GoToMeeting, all the different abilities. But right now, can double as a Zoom controller. Absolutely.
Sounds great. And the second question, if yes, which obviously it is a Zoom room controller, are there any other conferencing platforms that are currently supported?
And that is, as of right now, it's Zoom and Ring Central, and all the rest to come, hopefully sooner than later.
Sounds good. And the last question from Ben, does the hub support Dante speakers?
Yes, the hub does. And that is a great question, which kind of just opens up there. The hub has the functionality of USB, obviously, but the hub also has a Dante out as well, which then can bring in Dante speakers. But the Dante will operate exactly the same as USB. And what I mean by that is in this room right now with the ceiling, wall, table, hub, in terms of audio devices and the hub, mixing them together. If you wanted to take this audio and funnel it into a third party, even a third party DSP via Dante, or to another room, listening room somewhere else, or, Dante opens up so many different things that you can do. It's still going to take the mix of this audio. So it's not going to be, you're not going to see in Dante that it's a ceiling, a table, and a wall. You will see it as one big microphone. So that is how Dante currently is working within our system. If you do have some more questions about that, again, Ben, it sounds like we do need to hop on a call after that because you got a lot of great questions. And I'd love to get you in contact with my head of tech support who loves Dante and has all this paperwork that he's been working up that'll be coming out very soon. But it'd be great to have a conversation with you about that more in depth.
So we'll stay with the Zoom Room controller questions that are kind of been popping up. Alex has a question regarding that and asks, how does the Zoom Room controller get updated?
So all of these devices being networkable, if you put it on your customer's network or your client's network, they will at 12 o'clock at night, they are searching the STEM server for updates. So the updates will happen automatically. But if there are situations where you want to create more of a closed network that's not reaching out to the internet, absolutely can still do that. It will just involve, you'll obviously be on a list being a customer of ours of saying, hey, like when the updates happen, we're sending you over the files, which then you can bring over to whatever specific just server that you have on this closed network, then the units will update themselves that way. And so in terms of obviously the Zoom Room controller is tethered to the computer. Our controller is the same way as an iPad. Really the Zoom is happening on the dedicated PC in this room. So it'll update that way.
Awesome. So one of our attendees has said that they went and they found the links to the Room Designer and additional product resources in the STEM audio dealer page within the Starin website. So it's already there. Thank you for checking that out. So that was taken care of. Now, Jerry Richardson has a bunch more questions here. I'm going to do the same. We'll try to do a lightning round with the three and try to get them first with his statement. Hold on. I need to check that off there. Jerry first has a statement in, this is a nice plug and play product. And honestly, it sounds pretty good considering how bad the room is. So you're not getting a pass on a room being good enough from Jerry. Just want to point that out there, Ryan.
Thanks, Jerry.
I told you this audience that we have is gonna be a little bit more demanding. It's just the way it is, and that's what we want, and that's what we expect from our dealers, savvy dealers we have out there. So thank you, Jerry, for the statement there to put Ryan on the spot. Now I guess we'll have a conversation afterwards. Jerry also then asks, is the preferred position of the sound bar above or below the display?
It's honestly right now, it is 2.5 feet off the ground. It will work at 8 feet off the ground. I don't suggest putting it, 9 feet, 10 feet. But basically anywhere in between that, it's going to perform anywhere, 4 feet, 6 feet. And something else that's kind of cool is, say if you have a room where you have multiple wall units, and say if like the front of this wall was glass, where the display is, and you couldn't do a wall over just right up in the front and you have to do the walls on the sides. Like what if one, you have to put it underneath the window here and the other one's going to be higher? Like even if they're right across from one another at different heights, it's still going to work perfectly. And so it really opens up. You don't have to have it in a specific spot on the wall in order for the unit to work. It's going to work wherever it is that you put it, as long as you're not just having it at the very bottom of the floor or the tip top of the ceiling.
Well, you got a thumbs up, and that's slick from Jerry based on that
Hey,
answer. So you're winning. You're winning points back for that room.
all right, all
Um,
right.
Me personally, I actually really like the idea that you guys have this wall speaker in the front. In traditional, huddle space rooms and stuff like that, the wall speaker in the front was always, in a non-STEM room was always kind of like the ideal thing. You didn't have to go into the ceiling. You didn't have to bring any wall-mounted speakers. Just a single bar in the front would actually be it. The problem is when you start getting into these longer rooms, like this one is here, the sound doesn't travel that great to the back. And having the ability to put the microphones with a little bit of sound at the table is a nice little feature that you guys have there, especially with that little down-firing speaker that sits on the table with the additional 9 mics, which really, in my opinion, really pushes out the value on when you're designing these rooms that may be a little longer than usual.
100%, absolutely. And it's just like the addition to it is, adding another $650 or basically 1,000 with the hub. And you're getting such a better quality by just that addition alone. So I'm glad that you noticed that, because I agree 100%. And the table unit in the wall, that type of scenario where, the table's more in the back third of the room works beautifully.
And I'm not just the host of the town halls. I actually kind of even know a little bit about this stuff. Isn't that crazy, right? So the final question from Jerry, and it looks to be the final question that we have. Jerry wants to know if they can turn off auto update. It's not uncommon to have a bad update get released and cause widespread problems. Jerry is obviously anticipating the worst, but the ability to shut off an auto update is a good thing, considering what else could be attached to it, or the network security that a college campus or a corporate environment may have. Turning off auto update and controlling the updates obviously is a concern. Do you at least have the ability to shut off the auto update?
Yeah. We want to make it in any type of security, in any type of scenario, which makes sense for you and your customer. We have, in this last year with 2020, I'll say this, we got our first manufacturing run at the end of February 2020, just in time for a global pandemic. Things were dicey there for when it was like, all right, now we're all just shut down for a couple weeks. And after that, it became our best year times 4. And so since then, and then these large school rollouts and a couple large, we still all haven't seen corporate fully come back yet, but a couple large corporate rollouts that were more in our beta phase, we have seen and been involved in now all the different types of creating specific VLANs or just totally segmented off aspects with no internet connection and highest levels of security, and we've worked out all of those kinks. And so 2021, yes, absolutely, I wanted to say yes, that is possible. And then just, we've worked out all the different ways that STEM could be implemented. And so feel very confident any networking situation or all that type of stuff, we got it dialed.
Awesome. I have another question that came along, and we still have some time, so this will probably be the last of the hard hitting questions. Right. Marcel Coppens asks if I have 2 STEM walls, one at the front, one at the back, can I control the speaker volume individually on both? I want to have the majority of the audio come from the front and just some filler audio from the back. Is that doable? Is it controllable?
We have a big firmware update coming, which is doing all sorts of really cool things. It's going to add, right now there is a cap on how many devices that can be in the room. That's going to be increased to 10 STEM audio devices per hub. Another one aspect of that is going to be selective muting. The one thing that is a question mark is, with that selective muting, is there going to be the volume control selectively as well? So, and that was Marcel, correct? Yes. We actually have an email thread going outside of this. And so thank you for asking this question. I'll reach out to you just to make sure to get that answered within, I'll be able to get that answer from engineering.
Sounds great. So that's going to wrap up our town hall. Wait a minute. Jerry pops up one more.
Yes.
Jerry Richardson asks, are there any specific switch requirements, or does it have to be STEM approved switches?
Honestly, anything works. We do have some ones that we've used pretty standard, some Netgear PoE Plus switches, and anything beyond that, it all works as long. PoE Plus is what you need, and other than that, everything else will be kind of up to you.
Sounds great. All right. So we were now going to, what the moment we're all been waiting for is to find out who's the $50 Amazon winner, because that's why we do these town halls, is because we like to give away prizes. And today's winner, according to producer Mark, who ran it through the randomator machine that we have back at HQ where producer Mark is sitting, the winner is Rich Petty, not the car racer driver, but Rich Petty. You have won the $50 Amazon card, and producer Mark will be reaching out to you to get some details and tell you how we're gonna get this to you.
Rich,
so
you're rich.
Congratulations,
Yes.
Mr. Petty. Thank you all for attending our Starin Town Hall for January. It's 2021. We're trying to kick it off with style by bringing in our STEM audio folks here and presenting to you new products and new solutions that only Starin can do, especially in our Zoom ecosystem. Partnering up with people like STEM is crucial for us to really become a true solid provider of the whole ecosystem for the Zoom rooms, and bringing STEM on is a jewel in the crown. So thank you, and appreciate it, Ryan, for taking the time, for going into the office to actually do a demo, and you can have at it with your engineers about the little bugs that you found in the room. And
they're just, when all the rest of us are home, they're just doing whatever they want in these rooms, and it's just always going to be the age-old thing between engineering and sales. So
you can say it's an age-old thing between engineering and sales. I'm just going to tell you, you cannot leave equipment in a room with a bunch of AV people who are looking to tweak things. So
100%,
that is what you get.
Yeah.
So either you lock the door on the way out, or this is what you're going to get from there on in. You're going to come in and find something possibly changed, swapped, updated, removed. You never know. Well, Thank you again, Ryan, for taking the time and sitting with us, giving us a quick product demo, and letting our partners here understand a little bit more about STEM. And where can we find more information about STEM outside of, obviously, there's the Starin portal and all of our Starin site. But if you need some additional information, what's the STEM, website?
Yeah, absolutely. A STEM website, or reach out to me directly. I absolutely, alongside Starin, I will be your main source of, and something that is really cool that I kind of did forget to mention, so I want to slide it in right now, is our customer happiness team. We have a customer happiness team, which was an incredible thing that we chose to do. We pulled some not necessarily the tech aspects can be learned, but we pulled some people for some hospitality that are used to giving white glove service to people. And so we wanted to have that be a part of STEM, and it absolutely is. I know when you will talk with your Starin reps who have worked with our customer happiness team, and if you have yourself or some of your end users have, they are an incredible source as well. And that would just be, if you call into STEM, that is who the first person that you're going to talk to is someone from our customer happiness team. So there's a wealth of knowledge that they have. I can point you in all the directions if I don't have the answer. Starin portal will have all the information that is pretty much on our website is also in the Starin portal. So hope that answers it and gives you something else to do as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Again, all the designer software is within the Starin portal. It's all available to you right now. You have access to that. You have access to that in that product information and how to design these STEM audio products. That's currently available in the Starin portal. So you're more than welcome to take a look at that. Our next town hall is coming up, as you can see on the slide that's up on your screen, February 25th. We will have Aver in to talk shop and give us a little rundown of what they have that's possibly new, and and update us on some of their products that have been fan favorites of yours. We again are excited to have Aver, another partner in that Zoom ecosystem, to come in and give us a run through some of their products and talk about what's going on in the world of AV. So Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for stopping by the Starin Town Hall. Look for us in February. My name is Chris Neto. I am the host of this town hall, and Ryan was my featured guest here from STEM. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you guys in February for the next Starin Town Hall. Thank you, and have a great day.